There was a chicken in my bathtub. I stood there, holding my travel bag, my keys still dangling from the door, staring at the bird like maybe it would explain everything. It didn't. Just blinked at me once, then pecked at the soap dish. Clara's heels were tipped over in the hallway. One earring in the sink. A half-eaten burrito on the couch next to someone's shirt, and it wasn't mine. The living room smelled like cheap beer and mint body spray, like a frat party had gotten lost and crashed through my apartment by mistake. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just stood there. My stomach buzzed the way your leg does when it falls asleep. Numb and wrong. The TV was still on. Some show about renovating tiny houses. The volume was up way too loud, like someone had been laughing over it. I walked to the bedroom. Slowly, like my own floor might betray me. That's when I saw the note on my pillow. Not a long one. Just 5 words in blue marker. I'll explain. Please don't freak. No signature. No apology. Just that. She wasn't there. She wasn't anywhere. My wife had vanished, or more accurately, evaporated into chaos. And for some reason, she left a chicken in the tub and me on the edge of reality. I don't remember sitting down, but somehow I ended up on the floor beside the bed, rereading the note like it would magically rewrite itself if I blinked hard enough. And maybe I would have waited. Maybe I would have been dumb enough to give her the benefit of the doubt. But then I saw her phone, under the bed, and what was on it ruined every piece of who I thought I was. I reached under the bed and pulled her phone out by the corner of its case. It had that little red glitter pop socket she swore she hated, but kept anyway. The screen was cracked in the top left corner, and the moment I turned it on, the lock screen lit up with a missed call from a contact saved as Coach. Just that. No emoji. No last name. Not even a real name. My stomach dropped into my spine. I don't know what I expected. Maybe her mom. Maybe her best friend. But Coach? Who the hell was Coach? And why was he calling her at 3:17 a.m.? The phone wasn't locked. She never locked it, said she trusted me, said we didn't need secrets. So I opened it. First thing I see, a video thumbnail in the gallery, a shaky frame of her sitting in what looked like the passenger seat of a car, wearing his shirt, the one from the couch. I tapped it. The video started playing with a jolt of static and low voices. Her laugh echoed through the speaker, breathy and messy, like she was already a few drinks in. Then she said it, clear as day. He's so uptight. I could tell him I robbed a bank, and he'd just write me a sticky note about it. And then she howled with laughter. The guy, Coach, I guess, was driving. He leaned into frame and said, "You think he knows?" She leaned back against the window, eyes half-lidded, and smirked. I hope so. I'm sick of tiptoeing. Pause. Then she added, I'll leave a mess. He'll figure it out. The video ended. I just sat there, staring at the screen like it had punched me in the jaw. The worst part? She wasn't wrong. That was me. The guy who wrote notes instead of yelling. The guy who overthought everything and then still said nothing. The guy she could walk all over, and I'd hand her slippers on the way out. I opened the messages next. Just texts from her and Coach going back for weeks. Coach, you free tonight? Her, he's working late. Come through. Coach, bring the whiskey. Her, already packed, face blowing a kiss. Each line stabbed deeper than the last. Not because of what they were doing, I could have guessed that, but because of how casual it all was. Like I wasn't even a real person in her life. Just background noise. A fridge hum. Something to work around. And then came the part that finally broke me. A draft message. Unsent. Sitting there like a digital ghost. If he finds out, let him go. He's not built for this kind of pain. Not built for this kind of pain. Like I was some delicate little thing, too soft to be worth worrying about. A placeholder. A weak man with too many feelings and too few boundaries. I stood up. Every bone in my body felt like glass. Walked to the kitchen. Grabbed the same notepad she used to write grocery lists. The one with the avocado print. And I wrote, I'm leaving. Good luck with your. I stopped mid-sentence. Stared at the word. Your. As if she even claimed anything anymore. I ripped the page off, slapped it onto the fridge with a cracked Hello Kitty magnet, and walked out. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew one thing. That video wasn't filmed last night. It was filmed 3 weeks ago, meaning she didn't just lie. She planned all of this. And I was about to find out how deep the betrayal really went. I made it as far as the gas station on Sycamore before I realized I'd left without my wallet. No phone, no cash, no plan. Just me, my hoodie, and a set of keys I didn't even want anymore. I stood outside the convenience store for 5 minutes pretending to read the air pump instructions while my brain tried to reboot. Somewhere between the part where my wife vanished and the part where I found out she'd been playing house with some guy named Coach, I had short-circuited. I didn't feel sad or angry. I felt off-script, like I had stepped outside my own life and forgotten what my next line was supposed to be. I turned around, walked 2 blocks, and sat down on a bus bench. There were no buses that time of morning, just me and a faded sticker that said, "Don't trust the smiles." I stared at it so long my eyes started to blur. That's when I remembered her laptop. I'd given it to her for our anniversary 2 years ago. Engraved the back with "For every story we'll tell." I know, corny, but she loved it, or said she did, and she never brought it with her when she went out. Just used it at home for freelance stuff and shopping for overpriced throw pillows. I stood up so fast I nearly blacked out. My legs didn't want to cooperate, but I made my way back to the apartment building, heart thumping like I'd just stolen something. And maybe I had. Whatever version of myself had existed before this morning, I was stealing the last breath of him before he was gone for good. I unlocked the door. The chicken was still in the tub. No sign of her. No calls. No footsteps. Just the low hum of the fridge and that stupid tiny house show still looping in the background. I found the laptop under a pile of laundry on the chair. She always claimed she'd declutter next weekend. Opened it. No password. Again. It should have hurt more that she never expected me to look. But honestly, it made things easier. Like she wanted me to see it. Like this was all some long-winded way of forcing me out without having to say the words. I opened the browser. First tab, Gmail. Second tab, Pinterest wedding boards, but not ours. Different theme. Different colors. Not even the same venues she'd bookmarked with me 2 years ago. Third tab, Facebook Messenger. The first message at the top was from someone named Macy. No last name. Just a profile picture of a woman with pink hair and too much teeth. I clicked. Macy, you told him yet? Clara. No. Still building the exit. Macy, he's gonna lose it. Clara. Nah. Denton doesn't explode. He dissolves. My hands went ice cold. He dissolves. Like I was some sugar cube in a mug she no longer wanted to drink. I kept reading. Clara. Coach thinks we should just do it clean. I disappear, he picks me up. Simple. Macy. Is it really that simple, though? Clara. You've seen the guy? He still double checks if the oven's off after I've told him. He'll probably blame himself. They were right. I was blaming myself. Every moment of doubt I'd had. Every late night overthinking spiral. Every second guess about whether I was enough. She'd counted on it. Weaponized it. Used it as cover to burn our life down in secret. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the folder on her desktop titled June Plan. Inside were PDFs, schedules, travel bookings, one-way ticket, a shared Google Doc titled Exit Script, Final. The opening line? I didn't mean to fall for someone else. I stared at it, unblinking, while my pulse made a sound in my ears like rushing wind. She hadn't just betrayed me. She'd project managed it. The thing about seeing your life dissected in a shared Google Doc is that it doesn't even feel dramatic. It feels clinical, cold, like someone mapping out an event you thought you were living in real time, only to realize they'd already written the ending. That exit script, final document was dated over a month ago. It was written in bullet points. I read it like I was reading the post-mortem of a car crash I hadn't known I was in. Phase 1, emotional distancing. No arguments. Phase 2, increase coach visibility. Mention him lightly. Normalize. Phase 3, create distance narrative. We've grown apart. I'm lost. Phase 4, departure weekend. Say it's a friend's wedding. Phase 5, no contact. Let him spiral. Allow guilt to anchor him in place. That last line. Guilt equals leash. Don't engage. I felt like throwing the laptop through the window, but I didn't. I just closed it gently like a man folding the final page of a letter from a ghost. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry, but all I did was clean. Pathetic, I know, but I needed to do something, and wiping the kitchen counter gave me more control than anything else in my life at that moment. I put the burrito in the trash, tossed the strange shirt, and yes, I finally got the chicken out of the tub. Turns out it had been rented as a prank delivery from some stupid bachelorette site. The receipt was still taped to the bottom of its crate. It wasn't even her idea. Coach had set it up. Because of course he did. As I dragged the crate out to the balcony, my phone, The one I'd left in my jacket, buzzed from inside the pocket. It was a voicemail. From Coach. He didn't even block his number. Just called like this was business. I pressed play and held the phone like it might bite me. Hey man, I figured you'd find out eventually. Just wanted to say, none of this was personal. Clara's been unhappy for a while, and I was just there. Things happen. People change. You seem like a good dude. Hope you bounce back. I listened to it twice, then a third time, and on the fourth, I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it sounded like he was breaking up with me. Like I was just some random guy on the sidelines of my own marriage, and he was the quarterback explaining that. Yeah, the team's moving in a different direction. I dropped the phone on the floor. That's when I saw the second voicemail. Not from him. From her. Timestamp 3:42 a.m. While I was asleep. Before I knew anything. Her voice was quieter. Shaky. Like she'd been crying, but not enough to earn sympathy. I pressed play, expecting some cowardly apology or fake confusion. But what she said instead. Denton, if you're hearing this, I don't know what you've seen yet, but I didn't plan for it to feel this real. At first, it was just an escape. You weren't supposed to care this much, and I wasn't supposed to care at all. But Coach, he's not what I thought either. You'll see soon. I'm sorry. I really am. That last line repeated in my head like an echo I didn't ask for. He's not what I thought either. It didn't comfort me. It chilled me. Because for the first time since this whole thing started, it hit me. She wasn't in control anymore. Whatever she'd planned, whatever clean exit she wrote into that document, it was unraveling. And the next part of this wasn't about heartbreak. It was about danger. I didn't sleep that night. Or the night after. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard her voice from the voicemail again. That quiet crack when she said, he's not what I thought either. That wasn't guilt. That was fear. And Clara didn't scare easily. For 2 days, I camped out in my own apartment like I was under siege. The lights stayed off. The curtains shut. I kept the door locked even when I was inside. I didn't tell anyone what was happening. Not my brother, not my coworker Zach, not even my therapist, who I hadn't called in 6 months. Because how do you even start that conversation? Hey, my wife faked our marriage for months, left a chicken in my bathtub, and now she's disappeared with a man she's scared of. Try putting that into a text message. But something was wrong. I could feel it, like the pressure drop before a storm, when the air gets heavy and even your teeth ache. I started retracing everything I could. That shared Google Doc? I downloaded it, scanned the revision history, and saw edits made from an unknown IP address, not hers. One of them added a line that chilled me more than anything I'd read so far. Phase 6, radio silence. Wait for instructions. Instructions from who? Coach. I needed answers. And I didn't trust anyone to give them to me. So I did something I'd never done before. I lied to Clara's sister. I called her and said Clara left her phone behind during the wedding weekend, and that I was just trying to find out which hotel they'd stayed at so I could return it. She hesitated, then finally said, I thought she was with you. My heart started pounding. She hasn't texted me since last week, she added. She said you guys were working things out. She sounded off. I kept my voice steady. Off how? Like she was reading off a script. That word again. Script. I hung up, my palms sweating. I had to know more. So I went full creep mode. Logged into our shared Amazon account, which she clearly forgot about. Looked at her recent orders. And there it was, a burner phone, delivered to a locker downtown 3 days before she vanished. I went to that locker. I shouldn't have gone. The screen on the locker flickered when I punched in the code. The door creaked open and inside was a box, small, plain, black. Inside it, the phone, still powered on and at 87%. No lock screen. No case. The background wallpaper? A photo of Clara. With Coach. Taken from behind. In some cabin. Her hair was longer in the picture. She was barefoot, standing on the porch, looking out into the woods. But here's the thing. She wasn't smiling. She looked frozen. Tense. Her shoulders hunched like she was bracing for something. And Coach? He wasn't looking at her. He was looking at the camera. Right at whoever took the photo. And smiling. My pulse rocketed. I checked the texts. All were wiped except one unsent draft. He's not who I said he was. I messed up. I need. That was it. It ended there. Like she got interrupted. I backed out of the messages, opened the Notes app. Only one note. Titled, If Anything Happens. It started like this. If you find this, Denton, I know you'll go looking. I know you won't stop. Please don't try to be the hero. He's not just a guy I cheated with. He's something else. Something worse. I tried to end it, but he wouldn't let me. I couldn't finish reading. My hands were trembling too hard. The phone slipped from my grip and clattered onto the concrete. Screen up, still glowing. That's when I heard it. A soft knock. Not at the locker. Not behind me. From inside the building. Someone had followed me. And suddenly, I wasn't just the betrayed husband anymore. I was the loose thread someone forgot to cut. I didn't run right away. I froze. It wasn't the kind of fear that explodes. It was the slow, quiet kind. The kind that drips into your bones like cold water. I stood there in front of the open locker, the burner phone still lying at my feet, glowing like an exposed secret, while something moved inside the building. Not footsteps. Not a voice. Just a sound, a shuffle, maybe, a breath. I couldn't tell if it was one person or more. Couldn't tell if they were watching me through some dusty corner of the stairwell, or if it was all in my head. But then I remembered something Clara once said during a storm, when we lost power for 6 hours and played board games by candlelight. You don't have to see a threat to feel one. Your body knows before your brain catches up. My body knew. I grabbed the burner phone, shoved it into my pocket, and walked, not ran, back out of the locker room. No sudden moves. I didn't want to draw attention. The building was quiet. Too quiet. I passed a maintenance guy mopping the floor, but he didn't look at me. I didn't look at him. Just kept moving. I only started running once I got outside. Once my feet hit the pavement, and I knew I could disappear into the noise of traffic and people and chaos. I didn't go home. I didn't feel safe there anymore. I went to a cheap motel 2 miles across town. Paid cash. Signed in under a fake name. Which, by the way, is harder than you think when your hands are still shaking. The woman behind the counter didn't even blink. Just handed me the key like this happened every day. Room 108. Thin walls. Buzzing AC. Stains on the ceiling that looked like ghosts in mid-scream. I locked the door. Twice. Then I sat on the edge of the bed and finally opened the rest of the note Clara left on the burner phone. He has people. I didn't know that at first. I thought he was just some intense guy from my gym. Charismatic. Funny. A little controlling, sure, but he made me feel seen. I didn't realize what he really was until it was too late. The things he says, the things he knows. About you. About my family. About our money. About where I went to school. Things I never told him. I tried to cut it off. He laughed. Said I'd signed on. That I owed him. I don't even know what that means. I told him I wanted to go back. To fix things with you. He said, he doesn't want you back. He just wants answers. And then he smiled like he'd won something. If he ever contacts you, Denton, please, don't respond. Don't meet him. Don't try to fix this. I messed it up. Let me take the hit. Please. It ended there. No sign-off. No, I love you. Just that plea. And for once, I didn't know what to feel. Was I angry? Sure. Devastated? Absolutely. But underneath it all was this deeper, colder thing. I was being watched. I turned off the burner phone, removed the SIM card, smashed it under my shoe, and flushed it piece by piece. I knew how that looked. Paranoid. Maybe even dramatic. But every bone in my body screamed it wasn't enough. So I opened my laptop and did the one thing Clara had begged me not to do. I looked him up. I didn't have much. Just a first name. A phone number. A photo of him blurry in the background of Clara's wallpaper. But it was enough. Reverse image search. Burner lookup sites. Obscure subreddits. And I found something. Not a profile. Not an address. A thread. Anyone else been messed with by Coach? Posted 6 months ago. 0 replies. 1 upvote. Deleted user. The post said this. He finds women who feel small. He wraps them in attention, love bombs them, isolates them. Then he uses them. And not just emotionally. If you're reading this, you've already seen too much. Leave it alone. That was it. No follow-up. No edits. Just those words, dangling in the dark, waiting for someone desperate enough to read them. I was that someone. And I wasn't leaving it alone. Because Clara might have walked away. She might have betrayed me, abandoned me, humiliated me. But no matter how much I hated her for what she did, I wasn't going to let her vanish into something this ugly. Not without a fight. I didn't sleep in that motel room. I didn't shower. I didn't eat. I just sat in that stiff-backed chair by the window, watching the parking lot like it might start speaking. The vending machine buzzed every few minutes like it was choking on coins. Occasionally a car pulled in, headlights flashing across my curtain. making my heart spike until I saw some tired travelers step out instead of him. The thread about Coach kept replaying in my head. That warning. If you're reading this, you've already seen too much. I was way past that point. By sunrise, I had a plan, or at least something that resembled one. I wasn't going to go to the police. Not yet. I knew what that looked like. Hi, my wife cheated on me with a guy who may or may not be in a cult. Here's a deleted Reddit post and a chicken in a bathtub as evidence. They'd smile, file a report, and forget my name by lunch. So I went somewhere better. Somewhere that didn't ask questions. The building didn't even have a sign, just a red door and a buzzer. I pressed it twice. A voice crackled through the speaker. Say the name. I hesitated, then said it. Coach. There was a pause. Then a soft click. The door unlocked. I walked in and found myself in a dark hallway that smelled like burnt plastic and incense. At the end was a woman sitting behind a plexiglass window, covered in stickers. Eyes, moons, phrases like truth is loud and no light without shadow. She looked me up and down. You're the husband. I didn't ask how she knew. I just nodded. Clara came here once, she said. Didn't stay long. She was too far gone by then. Gone where? The woman pressed a button. A printer spat out a small slip of paper with an address on it. She slid it under the window. You didn't get this from me. I took it without a word. The address led to a neighborhood just outside city limits. The kind of place where the streetlights are too far apart and the sidewalks end in dirt. I parked 3 blocks away and walked the rest on foot. The house looked normal at first. 2 stories, white siding, front porch with a swing. But the moment I stepped closer, I saw the cracks. Every window was blacked out. Not just the curtains, painted over. The mailbox was sealed shut. There were no trash cans. No doorbell. Only a red line, drawn in thick paint, running across the doorframe like a barrier. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again, harder this time. Nothing. I turned to leave, but then I heard it. From inside the house. Low, muffled. Music. Not a song. A voice. Repeating something over and over. I pressed my ear to the door. You are here. You are chosen. You are clean. You are new. Over and over. Like a chant. I didn't even realize I'd grabbed the handle until it turned under my hand. The door was unlocked. I stepped inside. The air was thick. Heavy. Like it hadn't moved in weeks. Every surface was clean. Too clean. Like someone had scrubbed the soul out of it. The walls were covered in photos. Not hung. Taped. All of them of women. Some smiling. Some crying. Some mid-sentence. And in the center of the room, on the floor, was a phone. Clara's. Still on. Battery low. The screen lit up when I touched it. One notification. New message from Coach. I opened it. He's close. Tell him we're almost ready. That's when I heard the floor creak behind me. I spun around. Nothing. But then the lights cut out. Not flickered. Not dimmed. Just gone. I stood in pitch black. Clara's phone the only light source, shaking in my hand. And from somewhere in the dark, a voice whispered. You shouldn't have come, Denton. For a heartbeat, I couldn't breathe. The darkness pressed against my skin like a second layer. The phone's glow made my fingers look skeletal, trembling over Clara's name on the screen. That voice, low, male, calm, moved somewhere to my left, then my right, like it was circling. Denton, it said again. Put the phone down. But something inside me shifted. For months I'd been the man who left sticky notes instead of shouting, the man who dissolved instead of exploding. But standing in that dark house, holding Clara's phone, hearing that voice, I finally felt something sharper than panic. Clarity. No, I said out loud, my voice cracking but steadying at the end. I'm taking her out of here. The voice laughed. A door creaked open at the far end of the room, a slice of daylight cutting across the floor. In it, I saw her, Clara. Thin, pale, her hair tied back, clutching a small bag to her chest. Her eyes flicked up to mine, wide and wet. Dent, she whispered. I moved toward her slowly. We're leaving, I said, even though my throat was sand. The man stepped into the light behind her. It was Coach, taller than I imagined, his face oddly blank. You won't make it out, he said softly. She chose this. I could feel my heart hammering, but I didn't look away. No, I said. You built this. She's walking out. And then, before he could take another step, there were sirens. Loud, sharp, cutting through the stillness. Red and blue lights flashed through the painted windows. Someone outside shouted, "Police!" and the door burst open. It turned out Clara had called 911 from another phone she'd hidden in her bag on her way out. The voicemail she'd left me was a breadcrumb, a code she hoped I'd catch. She hadn't wanted me to come, but she'd known I would, and she'd used that to draw attention to the house. Officers flooded in. Coach didn't fight. He just let them handcuff him, staring at me like he was memorizing my face. Clara stumbled toward me. For a second, we just stared at each other, two people who had destroyed and saved each other in the same breath. "I'm sorry," she said, voice breaking. "I thought I could handle it. I thought." I stopped her. "You're here now," I said quietly. "We're both here." Outside, the sky was bright and ordinary. Birds, cars, a neighbor watering their plants like nothing had happened. Clara clung to me, shaking. We sat on the curb while paramedics checked her over. She gave her statement. I gave mine. Everything was chaotic and surreal, but for the first time in months, I felt solid. Not dissolving. Not background noise. Me. Later, at the station, an officer told me Coach had warrants in 3 states and a file full of fraud, coercion, and trafficking charges. Clara wasn't the first, but she was the first who'd left a trail long enough for someone to follow. That night we checked into a safe place arranged by the police. No more chickens in the tub. No sticky notes on the fridge. Just a quiet room, 2 cups of tea, and the sound of Clara breathing evenly for the first time in weeks. I don't know if our marriage will survive. I don't know if I'll forgive her fully. But I know one thing. She's free, and so am I. For the first time in a long time, the sun came up and didn't feel like a threat. It felt like a beginning.